Feraligatr is the third and final of our Jotonian starters, and after Typhlosion's impressive result last time, it has an awful lot to live up to. So how well will Feraligatr do? Let's find out together. As with all the Jotonian starters, Feraligatr keeps its monotyping throughout the entire evolutionary line. As a pure water type, we have 2 weaknesses to grass and electric, and 4 resistances to steel, fire, ice and water. And as always, before we get into the video, if you do find that you're enjoying yourself, please do leave a like. If you want to see more content just like this, please do click subscribe. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/trainersquidgy. And as always, I've got a cheeky little question for you. If you had to give a secondary typing to all of the Jotonian starters, what types would you give to each of the starters and why would you give them that type? Let me know down in the comments below as we take a little look at the stats of Totodile. So at level 5 we have 20 HP, we're holding a berry and our moves are Scratch and Leer, we have 12 in attack and defense, 10 in the specials and 9 in speed. So overall we have incredibly good stats for the start of the game, and that means the challenge can commence. We get the potion from Professor Elm's aid and we can make our way towards Route 29 where we have our first encounter waiting for us. It's a level 3 Hoothoot. Hoothoot doesn't growl at us on the first turn, and that means it's just a 3-shot to knock it out. On our way to Mr. Pokemon's house we take out this Zubat, and we are going to learn our first level up move. At level 7 we learn Rage, and Rage is an incredibly handy move for the early part of the game. And just while we're in Mr. Pokemon's house, I want to clarify a couple of things. In the main series, the ones with the blue thumbnails, we're always going to start with the lowest form of the Pokemon, so in this instance we start with Totodile and we evolve into Feraligatr, rather than starting with the final form itself. If we do a Just the Battles video, that will be with a red thumbnail, and then we'll start with the final form, so I hope that clarifies things for you. But we are now mid-battle against this Chikorita, and I got locked into using Rage because I assumed the Chikorita would attack us. We did eventually knock it out though after it tackled us, and we can tell the police officer that the rival's name is triple question mark, we can get the Pokeballs, and we can start making our way towards Violet City where our first destination is the gym. There is absolutely no point in doing Sprout Tower at the moment because we are weak to grass, so we're going to take on Falkner. Falkner can be quite tricky at times, however we have Rage on our learn set, and every time we get hit our Rage counter builds, and Rage increases in power until we are able to 2-shot the Pidgeotto. In that battle we also learnt Water Gun, which is our first stab move, and we get the Zephyr badge in a time of 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Let's now move on towards Azalea Town. We had nothing happen in Union Cave or the routes surrounding it, so let's go straight into the Ilex Forest, where we encounter our first HM friend. It's Psyduck this time. We use Water Gun on the Psyduck a couple of times to drop its health, because this is one of those opportunities where we can actually weaken the Pokemon. We catch it in a Great Ball, and Psyduck is going to be helping us out with Surf, Strength, Waterfall and Whirlpool. Our second and final HM friend of the forest is Paris. We use a Scratch against the Paris to get it right into the red, we use a Great Ball to catch it, and Paris will be helping out with Dig, Flash and Cut. And if we need it, Paris has also told me that they're willing to use Sweet Scent later as well. But we can't hang about too long in the forest because Kurt has told us that there are shenanigans going on in the Slowpoke well. We take a little look down there and who would we find but Team Rocket. We're going to have to take them out. So we're going to scratch this Zubat and grow to level 18, and then we're going to scratch away the Ekans with a critical hit. We defeat the Rocket Grunt and we get our first evolution. Totodile is evolving into Croconaw, so we have a lovely buff to our base stats, and now we can move on towards the gym with our buffed Croconaw. Nothing of any great note happened with any of the gym leaders, so we'll go straight to Bugsy, the Bug-type leader. He leads with a Metapod, and we're going to start using Rage. What we want is for his first 2 Pokemon to attack us as much as possible. In this instance though, it didn't quite work out, so our Rage counter isn't built up too much for the Scyther. However, a quick attack helps there, and we are able to 2-shot the Scyther, grow to level 21 and learn Bite, and just in time as well because the next rival battle will lead with a Ghastly, and in this generation Ghastly is weak to Bite. So we'll get Fury Cutter, which we can learn but I think we'll decline to learn, and now we'll take on rival number 2. We're using one of the starter types, we're using one of the starters in general in fact, so this could be a tricky battle. We bite away the Ghastly with the greatest of ease, and then Croconaw starts to grit his teeth, for the Bayleaf. We knock it out with 11 HP remaining, and we're on to the Zubat. Zubat flinches, we knock it out, and we just about scrape through rival number 2. That could have been an awful lot trickier than it was, so I am not going to complain. Now that the rival's all done and dusted, we can get ourselves cuts from the Cutting Master, we can also get headbutts from the green-haired man, and we can move on towards Goldenrod City. The first thing we're going to do is teach Headbutt to Totodile. Scratch has been a great normal type move for us so far, but Headbutt is that little bit stronger. We'll get the bike from the bike shop to let us move as quickly as we possibly can. We'll get the coin case so that we can buy the Abra, and we'll also take a little haircut at the Pokemon Salon. We get the best possible outcome from the salon, which means we can get return early and save ourselves a trip after Badge 7. We'll pick up Abra from the game corner, and now let's go to the Goldenrod department store. In the department store we are going to get the return TM from the lady who's only there on Sundays, and we're also going to get a punching move. Croconaw can only learn one of the punching moves, so it is Ice Punch this time, but that will give us some good coverage against the rivals Bayleaf and Meganium. But for now, we'll cycle and bonk into yet more people, and we'll pick up Kenya. Kenya is going to be helping out with Just Fly, but goodness me, we wouldn't be able to do this run without Kenya. We'll get TM28s from the National Park, and we'll also talk to Floria of the Flower Shop. With all our chores done in Goldenrod City, we can now move on towards the gym where Whitney is waiting for us. Whitney is a normal type leader who will lead with Clefairy. I say it a lot, but the Clefairy is the more dangerous of the two Pokemon. However, in this instance, a good double slap is enough to get our rage counter building up already. A 5-turn double slap would have been best there, because then we could have potentially OHKO'd the Miltank, but I'm not going to complain at a 3-shot on the Miltank to knock it out, and we get the plain badge in a time of 20 minutes and 25 seconds. Let's now move on towards the flower shop itself, where we can pick up the Squirts bottle and make our way towards Ecruteak City. The first thing we're going to do in Ecruteak City is take on the Kimono Girls. They are the key to getting water-type Pokemon and water-adjacent Pokemon, a very, very good move for an incredibly early spot in the game. We are going to get Surf from the bloke who watches the Kimono Girls, and Surf is going to instantly replace Water Gun. Instead of being a base 40 power move, we are going all the way up to base 95 power. With 100% accuracy, I really do think that Surf is broken for this part of the game, because combined with Stab, that will give us a base 142 power move before we've got our 4th badge. We also taught Ice Punch in place of Rage, and we're going to test them both out against rival number 3. First of all though, we've got to bite away the Haunter, and we're going to surf all over the Magnemite. Magnemite goes down in 1 shot, and we're going to Ice Punch the Bayleaf. It's a 2-shot on the Bayleaf, and Razor Leaf doesn't really damage us too much. We get the option to learn Scary Face, but we decline, and he sends out the Zubat. Zubat is also weak to ice, so we knock it out in 1 shot, and that was a very, very easy rival number 3. That means we can move on towards the Moo Moo Farm to pick up the Minceberry, and we can go into the gym. In the gym we face Medium Grace with her Haunter, and you know that I don't like the Medium Sprite, however I'll let her off this time because we grow to level 30. Unlike Cyndaquil, who evolves early into Quilava and late into Typhlosion, Totodile evolves late into Croconaw and very early into Feraligatr. So we are now in our final form, and to celebrate we're going to give our Feraligatr a Minceberry. This is the 4th gym, this is Morty, he is a Ghost type specialist who will lead with Ghastly. We still have Bite on our learn set, and we do have quite a decent special attack, even though it's not as good as our physical attack. It's enough to knock out the 2 cursing Pokemon, and we are on to the Gengar. Gengar flinches, so we're not getting sent to sleep, and we can preserve our Minceberry. We 1-shot the final Haunter, and we get Morty's badge, the Fog badge, in a time of 27 minutes and 41 seconds. Let's now go west, where life is peaceful, towards Olivine City. We'll get Strength from the bloke in the cafe, and we'll ascend the lighthouse. At the top of the lighthouse, Jasmine wants some more drugs. The drugs we gave her last time weren't quite good enough, so we're going to have to go back to the dodgy place and say, "Oi mate, you didn't give us the right drugs there, can you give us the right ones this time?" So let's do that right now. He's telling us this secret potion is better than the other secret potion, and while we're here we might as well take on Chuck. Chuck is our 5th gym leader. He is a fighting type specialist who will lead with Primeape. We shall surf all over the Primeape to take it out in 2 shots as Leah fails, and here comes his Poliwrath. Our best option really is to headbutt, and he doesn't use Hypnosis. He goes straight for Dynamic Punch, but we hit through our confusion twice in a row, to have a very, very easy chuck battle and get the Storm Badge in a time of 32 minutes and 44 seconds. We get Fly from Chuck's wife, and just before we go to the Lake of Rage, we're going to pick up a couple of bits and bobs. First thing we're going to do is go back into the Slowpoke Well, and we are going to grab ourselves the King's Rock. This means that we have a chance to use a lot more moves to cause flinching, and while we're here we might as well pick up the Rain Dance TM. That will boost our water type moves, and after that it's a very quick surf to Cherry Grove City, where we'll pick up the Mystic Water. The Mystic Water will boost our water type moves by 10%, increasing the power of Surf even more. But now that it's in our pockets, we can pick up the rare candy at the Lake of Rage, and we can take on the red Gyarados. I got a little bit cocky with the Feraligatr here, and almost paid the price by getting knocked out, but we survived on 2, and that means we can say hello to Lance, the liar with the flyers. He is going to tell us about the shenanigans going on in the bottom of the Mahogany shop, so we might as well take care of them. This Rocket Executive had an Arbok, but we knocked it out. They also have a Gloom which will headbutt away and almost one-shot, but not quite. So with Headbutt losing its efficacy somewhat, it's very fortuitous that we can learn Slash here instead. We'll take a Slash over the Murkrow to knock it out in one shot, and we have defeated the Executive and we have dealt with Team Rockets once and for all in Mahogany Town. We get Whirlpool from Lance, but in order to use Whirlpool, we need to take on Price, the Ice-type specialist. He leads with that very not Ice-type Pokemon Seal, which we take down in just 2 shots. Out comes the Dugong, and it's a one-shot critical hit with Slash. We use Surf against the Piloswine because Piloswine is weak to water, and we've defeated Price in a time of 39 minutes and 40 seconds. Our next gym leader is Jasmine. Jasmine is a Steel-type specialist who will lead with Magnemite. Magnemite has caused us untold numbers of issues in the past because of its paralysis ways, so we'll just have to surf away the pair of them before they even get a chance to use Thunder Wave. After that we have Steelix. Steelix goes down to a critical hit surf, and we've defeated Jasmine in a time of 40 minutes and 39 seconds. And so with 7 badges in hand, it's time to do our regular housekeeping. We'll grab the rare candy in Violet City, and after grabbing the rare candy we will make our way into Sprout's Tower to grab the Flash HM. We didn't do it in our first run through because of course we would have been knocked out by all those Bellsprouts. After that we'll pick up the rare candy at the south of Goldenrod City, and we can make our way into the basement of the department store where Rival 4 is chasing us. He leads with Golbat this time, and we still have Ice Punch, so we punch it in the mouth and it goes down in one shot. We give another Magnemite a trip on a Log Flume and surf it away, and here comes Meganium. We take off well over half health on the first shot with Meganium and knock it out on the second. Haunter comes out and we surf it away, and his final Pokemon is Sneasel. We don't have anything super effective against the Sneasel, but a single surf is good enough to knock it out, and we've defeated rival number 4. That means we can now go up to the top of the radio tower where we're going to pick up the pink boat from Mary, and we're also going to grab the radio card. The radio card is incredibly handy because it means we can actually make our way through Kanto. We'll pick up the Nevermelt Ice from the Ice Path, and now we can make our way into Blackthorn Gym. Just before we take on Claire, we're going to give the Nevermelt Ice to our Feraligatr in place of the King's Rock, and now we can engage her in battle. She is an actual Dragon-type specialist who will lead with Dragonair. We use Ice Punch against the first Dragonair to knock it out in one shot. She tries again with a second Dragonair, and it's much the same story. She gives it one last go with the third Dragonair, and that goes down straight away as well, and that just leaves her Kingdra. We're going to slash all over her Kingdra to take it deep into the yellow. That means she heals and we get yet another critical hit. 3 critical hits in a row, and we've defeated Claire in a very, very good time. As you might see here, I had a little bit of a fumble with the timer, so we did actually lose 5 seconds on that split time. However, I did make it up after going to New Bark Town. I gave myself 5 seconds of free travel. I reviewed the footage, saw how much time was lost due to player error, and then I just compensated from there. But I can tell you, going into the league, we are on our fastest pace ever. Our second fastest pace ever was Firo at 56 minutes and 1 second into Claire, and we of course were 55 minutes and 12 seconds. So we are on an incredible pace here with Feraligatr. Let's see if we can keep it up through rival number 5. We surf away the Sneasel in one great big tidal wave, and then while we're causing natural disasters, we might as well use Earthquake on the Magneton. Out comes Meganium, and we have an Icy Punch just for that to knock it out in a critical hit, and he sends out Golbat. We use Ice Punch against the Golbat to knock it out in 1, and here comes Haunter. Haunter is weak to Earthquake, so we knock it out straight away. We used another Earthquake against the Kadabra and we didn't take any damage at all against rival number 5. And that means it is Pokemon League time. We are going to go and heal up whether we need it or not for PP purposes, and then it's time to say thank you to the HM friends. We say thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck and to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region, get some lovely rest, while Feraligatr here takes on the Meanie Beanie Elite Four. So we are now going to take a little look at our stats going into the league. We have 181 HP at level 52. Our moves are Surf, Earthquake, Slash and Ice Punch. Our held item is the Pink Bow. We have 148 in attack, 142 in defense, 118 in special attack, 123 in special defense and 118 in speed. And the first member of the Elite Four is our very own member here, Mr. Saint-Germain, who is leading with a Xatu. We use Ice Punch against the Xatu to knock it out in one shot, and here comes Executor. Executor is also weak to Ice-type moves, so we knock it out in another Ice Punch. He sends a Jinx out next, to which we use a Surf against. We don't quite knock it out, and she deals a little bit of psychic damage against us. Slowbro is next. We use a combination of Surf and Slash to get rid of that in just 3 shots, and his final Pokemon is another Xatu. We use Ice Punch against the Xatu to knock it out straight away, and we've defeated Will in a time of 1 hour, 1 minute and 57 seconds. Up next is Koga, the Poison type specialist. We start with Surf against the Ariados to knock it out in one shot, and he sends out a Venomoth. You can see our special attack isn't so hot here though, because we don't quite one-shot the Venomoth. As we move on to the Fortress, we're able to take Fortress deep into the red, so no going boom for us this time. We use Surf against the Muk to take it down under half health. We finish it off with an Earthquake, and then the final Pokemon is Crobat. We use Ice Punch against it to take it deep into the red as he uses Double Team. One full restore later and we're back exactly where we were, but this time it is frozen. He wastes a full heal, we manage to connect, and we have knocked out the Crobat. Up next is Bruno. Quite often when we're running normal types, Bruno is a bit of a challenge, but this time I think he's going to be incredibly trivial. So much so that I didn't even bother to heal up between fights. Hitmonchan's Thunder Punch does barely anything at all, and we're on to the Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee's High Jump Kick misses to make our life even easier, and then we're on to Machamp. Cross Chop doesn't get a critical hit, which means we're on exactly half health for the Onix. We're out of Surf PP though, so we're going to have to resort to Earthquake, but that's fine because Onix is weak to both. We knock it out and we can move on to Karen. Karen is my nemesis in these runs because of that pesky Umbreon. And for what feels like the 8 millionth run in a row, the Umbreon Sand Attack hits, and that means we're in a bad spot for the rest of the battle. We don't Oko the Vileplume, we get paralysed, and we are going to have to start over again. Sand Attack hits once again on reset number 2, and we're back onto the Vileplume. We're holding the Never Melt Ice this time, but that still isn't quite enough to knock out the Vileplume in one shot. Luckily for us, Stun Spore missed and we were able to knock it out without getting paralysed. We do get cursed by the Gengar, which means we're now on a clock, but an Earthquake finished it off. Ice Punch on Murkrow is great because it knocks it out in one, and that just means we have Houndoom left to go. We miss our Surf twice in a row, Crunch hits for a critical hit, we get cursed as well, and I was cursing out Karen at this point. I screamed at the game. It's very rare that I actually loudly scream, but this was one of those times because that was utterly ridiculous. We had great accuracy rolls throughout the entire battle. We were at full health for the entirety of the battle, and then that Houndoom went, no, I'm just going to dodge your Surf. We'll take this, Houndoom, you get knocked out this time. We grow to level 56, and we've defeated Karen in a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Firo beats Karen in a time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so unfortunately we are now behind Firo's pace, all because of that bloody Umbreon. Anyway, we're now on to Lance the Liar, and he should be no issue at all. We get rid of the Gyarados, we get rid of the pair of paralysing Dragonites, and now we can move on to the third Dragonite. He sends this out because his other 2 Pokemon are weak to water, so it's a very trivial battle from here. We Surf against the Aerodactyl to take it out in one, and that just leaves his Charizard. Charizard doesn't outspeed us, and we are the better starter here because we knock him out first try, and we get a final league time of 1 hour, 6 minutes and 24 seconds. Don't you dare go anywhere though, because Kanto is next. And we rejoin as always outside our house in Newbark Town, and I can tell you we are on our second fastest pace ever at the moment. Kenya beat Lance in a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 45 seconds, and Miltank was in second place until this run. with a time of 1 hour 8 minutes and 45 seconds, so we are slap bang in the middle. And after getting the SS ticket and the Master Ball from Professor Elm, it's time to say welcome back to Kenya, Abra, Psyduck and Paris, and now let's move on to Goldenrod. I'm sure you heard the music, and that means just one thing: we are going to spend all of our money. We're going to get a grand total of 4,000 coins so that we can say goodbye to Ice Punch and say hello to Ice Beam. We're going to get a lovely buff of 20 base power for the move, but we are going to lose 5 PP in the process. But Ice Beam is going to be very handy for our first gym in Kanto. Before we get there though, we've got a couple of bits to pick up. We're going to pick up the rare candy in Mount Mortar. We're also going to pick up the other rare candy in the Whirl Islands. And then it's a quick hop, skip and a jump over the sea towards Vermilion City. And of course the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to pick up another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon fan club. And after that it's a quick cycle towards Celadon City, where our next gym leader is waiting for us. It's Erica on stilts, our 9th gym leader and our first Kantonian gym leader, and she is a grass type specialist. We have Ice Beam on our learn set though, and we're holding the Never Melt Ice. We also have a buff from Morty's badge, so that means we are getting all the possible power out of our Ice Beam, and goodness me it shows, because we're able to one-shot all of her Pokemon and defeat her in a time of 1 hour 11 minutes and 33 seconds. Let's now move on to Misty, and she is a water-type specialist just like ourselves on this run. We use Earthquake against the Golduck to knock it out in one shot, and we do exactly the same against the Quagsire, but it's 2 shots on that. Here comes Lapras, we use another Earthquake, and it misses a Blizzard, which means it's a simple 2-shot, and her final Pokemon is Starmie. We lost our Dark-type move a long time ago, so it's going to be another pair of Earthquakes to knock it out, and we defeated Misty in a time of 1 hour 15 minutes and 18 seconds. Up next on the chopping block is Sabrina. Sabrina got a very big nerf between Generations 1 and 2. She only has 3 Pokemon. We knock out her Espeon in one shot. We do exactly the same to the Mr. Mime. Alakazam manages to cling on for dear life on 1 HP, but we are able to knock it out with a much better damage roll on the second turn. That is Sabrina all done and dusted in a time of 1 hour 16 minutes and 27 seconds. Lieutenant Surge is next, and if we didn't have Earthquake, this battle could have been tricky. But we do have Earthquake and we outspeed all of his Pokemon, so we get rid of the Raichu on the first turn. We do exactly the same with the Magneton, and here comes Electabuzz. We knock out Electabuzz with an Earthquake, and he's just got 2 Electrode left to go. Electrode is a very fast Pokemon, but not fast enough to outspeed our Feraligatr, so it was as simple as 5 Earthquakes to get the Thunder Badge. And we can now move on towards the Snorlax. Snorlax is the final friend we're picking up on this run, and we're only catching him so that we can steal his leftovers. Leftovers are going to prove to be very handy for regaining HP passively at the end of every turn. But with the Snorlax safely in our bag, we can now turn our attention to Brock. Brock is a Rock-type specialist who leads with Graveler, and 3 of his 5 Pokemon are going to be 4 times weak to water. The 2 fossils are going to be weak to ground-type moves, so between Surf and Earthquake we have something super effective for all of his Pokemon. And that means it's a simple one-shot on every single Pokemon, and we will defeat Brock in a time of 1 hour 18 minutes and 58 seconds. Up next is Cinnabar Island, where Blue is waiting for us. Blue once again tells us all about the tragedy that struck the island, and it really is quite a poignant speech. I would recommend you playing through this game just to read that speech. That and Karen are a little bit of a tearjerker, but we have to move on to poor Blaine. Already he's lost his gym, he's lost some Pokemon. We're coming in with a Water-type Pokemon to just ruin his day even more. It's a simple one-shot on all 3 of his remaining Pokemon, and we get the Volcano Badge in a very quick time of 1 hour 20 minutes and 12 seconds. And things don't get easy for the Kantonian gym leaders from here, because we have Janine next. As we all know, Janine is the weakest of all the Kantonian gym leaders, being the newest gym leader apart from Blue. And unfortunately for her, once again, she doesn't get a chance to land a single shot with any of her Pokemon. It's a one-shot with Surf on all 5 of her Pokemon to knock her out and get the Soul Badge in a very quick time of under 1 hour and 21 minutes. And we go from the weakest of the Kantonian gym leaders to the strongest. This is Blue, he's a mixed-type specialist who leads with Pidgeot. Pidgeot gets knocked out with a single Ice Beam, and we're going to do exactly the same with the Exeggutor. Exeggutor clings on for dear life though, unfortunately, and he sets up Sunny Day. That is going to nerf our Water-type moves, so for the next little part of the battle we're going to have to rely on our moves that aren't Surf. That's good for us though, because Alakazam comes out and we are able to Earthquake away the Alakazam in one shot, and by this time the sun is fading. We've got an Ice Beam for the Gyarados because we don't really have anything super effective against it. Slash and Ice Beam do roughly the same, and Twister doesn't deal much damage at all. He moves on to the Arcanine, we use Surf against it to knock it out in one shot, and his final Pokemon is Rhydon. Rhydon puts up no resistance whatsoever, we grow to level 65, and we have defeated Blue in a time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 23 seconds. I can tell you we have overtaken Kenya. We are now on personal best pace. Kenya's Blue Split was 1 hour 23 minutes and 16 seconds, and the previous second fastest time was Typhlosion from the last run. So now there are just 6 Pokemon between us and a potential personal best, and a potential new leader at the top of the leaderboard. Will Feraligatr be able to do it? Let's find out. This is Red, who leads with Pikachu. Pikachu outspeeds us, which is a very bad sign, but we do manage to knock it out with Earthquake, and here comes Venusaur. We don't do over half damage against the Venusaur, which means Solar Beam hits, and it's a one-shot. So the first thing we're going to do is replace the King's Rock with the Never Melt Ice. I tried a couple more times, and we are also going to level up now to level 68. Let's see if we do any better here. We outspeed the Pikachu now, which is great, so we don't have to worry about getting charmed, and we're back onto the Venusaur. Ice Beam is now able to take off over half health from the Venusaur, so it's a simple 2 shots without taking any damage, and we're on to the Espeon. We don't outspeed the Espeon and take quite a lot of damage from Psychic. We get a poor damage roll on the second turn, and we get knocked out. So that means we're going to replace the Never Melt Ice with the leftovers. We're going to need that HP healing, especially for the Espeon. Pikachu right now is trivial because it goes down in one shot, and here comes Venusaur. We freeze the Venusaur and we still take it out in 2 shots, and we're back onto the Espeon. We use Slash against the Espeon, fishing for a critical hit, as once again he uses Psychic instead of Reflect. Another Psychic takes us down to 43 as we get our critical hit, and we're now onto the Snorlax. We slash on the Snorlax and get a critical hit, but Body Slam knocks us out. It's at this point we're going to say goodbye to Slash and resort to Return. I was hoping not to use Return in this run, and we're also going to level up to level 71. As always, I will use the rare candies in the pattern of 3, 3, then 4 if we need them. So let's see how we get on. We one-shot the Pikachu as always, and we're back onto the Venusaur. At this point, Venusaur is a very, very comfy 2-shot range, but he uses Sunny Day, and that throws a little bit of a spanner into the works, because it means that our Surf is going to be weakened. Return takes off over half health off the Espeon on the first turn. We knock it out on the second turn, and we're on 168 HP for the Snorlax. Snorlax boosts its special defense with Amnesia, so Ice Beam is doing next to nothing at all. I try a couple more times to try and get the freeze off, and once the Reflect fades, we use Return. Return does quite a lot of damage, and we actually knock it out, so we're on to Blastoise. We're going to use Return against the Blastoise, but Surf deals a critical hit and takes us into the red. Surf takes us down to 11 HP as we knock it out in 3 shots, and here comes Charizard. It's just 1 Surf between us and a personal best, but we don't knock it out, and Flamethrower knocks us out, and that means we are not PBing with Feraligatr. That was gutting. If we had a better damage roll, Feraligatr would be on top, but let's now try for second place. The good news for Feraligatr is we have a whole 9 minutes to play with for second place, so we should be able to get a very, very good time. As always, we Earthquake away the Pikachu and we double Ice Beam the Venusaur. Unfortunately for us though, Venusaur did set up Sunny Day once more, which means we are limited to 3 moves, and we're back onto the Snorlax. We use Return against the Snorlax and get a critical hit to take off well over 2/3 of its health. Another critical hit later and it gets knocked out. We use Return against the Blastoise as Surf deals very little damage at all this time. Another Return does a lot of damage, and the third Return knocks it out. That brings us on to the final Charizard. We use Surf against it, and once again we don't quite knock it out. We're on a lot more health though, so we can just finish off with a second Surf. And we can defeat Red in a time of 1 hour, 29 minutes and 12 seconds on the retime. And that comfortably puts Feraligatr in second place on our leaderboard. I just want to spare a thought for poor Furret here, who was on top of the leaderboard for a very short time and is now off the podium entirely. And Mr. Mime is now next in the drop zone. On the other side of the leaderboard, Dodrio has dropped down to 11th place, and in 30th place we still have Magcargo. But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do leave it a like. If you've really enjoyed this and want to see more content just like this, please do subscribe. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/trainersquidgy. If you've got anything to say, leave it in the comments below. And until next time, I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.